President Bola Tinubu has charged the new Ondo State Governor, Lucky Aiyedatiwa, to take charge of affairs in the state and mobilize the people to move the region forward. This was as he vowed that the name of his late predecessor, Oludare Akeredolu, would never be forgotten because his legacies and impacts could be seen and felt across the state and the country. Aiyedatiwa, who said this when he led members of the State Executive Council on a condolence visit to the Akeredolu family in Ibadan, Oyo State capital, however, declared 3 days of mourning in honor of the late governor. Meanwhile, indications arrived that former political aides to the late governor of Ondo State, Rotimi Akeredolu, have hurriedly tendered their resignation letters, citing their loyalty to the new governor. We are now being joined by Charles Oludare, convener of Social Rehabilitation, Grace and Support Initiative, to discuss the situation in Ondo State. Good to have you with us, Charles. Now, let's go right into this. In retrospect, was it fair on the people of Ondo State to have to bear the brunt of the bickerings and conflicts of interest on account of Governor Akeredolu's health before his transition, you think?
Thanks, Ani, for that question, and thanks, viewers, for having me. So, to me, based on your question, I don't think it's fair on the people of Ondo State. They deserve a lot better. They should, the whole, brouhaha about, acting, everything should not have happened in the first place. I do believe I did write a letter to the Attorney General, like I think I mentioned a couple times, citing medical coercion of Governor Akeredolu while he was ill, and it's so regrettable that even the man had to be taken through all that ordeal, and it's also deeply regrettable that the people's affairs had to suffer a little bit, but a lot. But we can say that river under the bridge. We wish Governor Akeredolu say farewell. We wish him good things in heaven. Is with the angels, but like you mentioned just now, a couple of the aides of the governor have been resigning, and I did make mention of this on another channel yesterday. I do believe that the new governor Aiyedatiwa, should decline or reject their resignation, because, and I think maybe I wasn't clear enough the last time, I'll be clear again today right now, because I do believe that resignation is runaway. Signing out is camper. The new governor should not let them run away, because there were a lot of, allegations. And even though we are in the mourning period right now, the budget just got signed yesterday, but there will still have to be, justice and fact finding. So it's best for these people to still be in office while the investigation is going on. Like I would say, the best way to catch a thief is behind his booty. So let them not run away. Let them be there. They are employees of the Ondo State government. Let them maintain their offices. Let the investigation happen. And if something gets found, then they can be let go. And then the Justice Department, justice can take its due course after that. But I don't think they should let them to just run away like that. I understand also that the Governor Aiyedatiwa also needs to stretch out his hands of friendship across, the cabinets, the House of Assembly, and all of that. But we still have something that we know, the elephant in the room, which is the primaries of next year. So there's a lot of political calculations that is going on too, and he would have to find a way to, find a sweet spot between making friends with his opponents in the primaries. So that is the dilemma that he has to face. I wish him well. I pray for him. I don't know how he's going to do it, and I don't envy him right now, because there's a whole lot on his plate. He literally got in 2 days signed the budget that they didn't even let him know much about, how it was, put together and all of that. And that would have to be his responsibility, because he's on ticket and he inherited both the, assets and liabilities of his predecessor. I wish, the new governor all the best. That is all I can do for the sake of the people of those states, because they deserve, intellectual and consistent, leadership. And I hope he's able to, provide it to them during this period.
But, I'm wondering, is it possible, going forward to prevent this kind of scenario from recurring, whereby a cabal, in quote, we don't know who this cabal is, nameless, faceless, tries to cling on to power whenever a prominent political office holder falls ill? Is it possible to prevent it from happening again?
Yes, Lakwe, I do believe it's possible to prevent it from happening. I feel like sometimes our lawmakers just forget that they have a job to do, because these are occurred at least twice in our history right now. First was in the case of President Yaradua, where the man was probably in ICU for like 5 months, and we keep hearing stories that he's climbing mountains and crossing valleys. And the other one was in the case of, I think Dan Baba in Taraba, where the man was obviously in a vegetative state, and they still kept saying he's the person in charge. This constitution puts the medical inquest to be based on the decision of the executive members. Now, these executive members were chosen by this governor or this president, and they believe that their own lease to power is tied to the president, to that president or to that governor's hip. So the way the constitution should state it is that if there is a question about the health of an executive or whereby they have not been found in the public, then after like 3 months, there should be an automatic medical panel being set up in accordance with the primary physician of the governor. In that way, it takes it out of the hands of the state executive. It takes it out of the hands of the National Assembly. Once the governor or the president cannot be found, then the clock starts ticking. And then when you get to 3 months, which is, I think, fair enough, then a medical panel gets automatically set up, and they get sent to there, because I do believe that the Governor Akeredolu was exploited, and the man does not deserve that. That is a man who is a patriot, who stood for justice, who transmitted power to this new governor Aiyedatiwa 3 times already during their administration. And now when he's sick, they are trying to make us believe that the man, Governor Akeredolu, did not want to transmit power. I don't believe that. I believe that if he had the agency, he would have transmitted power. But the poor man, was sick, and a bunch of heartless people were exploiting his condition for their own benefit. And that is deeply regrettable, and that is why investigations must be carried out, not because one is trying to be vindictive, but Governor Akeredolu is a patriot. He defended the constitution. He protected the people of his state. He protected Nigeria. He's a visionary. He's an outspoken person. We need to defend his name. We need to set the record straight. We need to find the facts. So in answering to your question, I believe if we have a constitutional amendment that puts a time limit or a time range to the medical inquest, these all can be done away with. I do believe, maybe because I am a doctor, I do believe that while the health of a public officer that is of public concern, the decision to volunteer the information is still that government official's prerogative. You cannot force a person to tell you that they have a boil in their armpits. It is their choice if they want to tell you, they want to keep it personal, that is it. But that should not in any way, we should be able to separate that from it getting in the way of governance. So if they have not been able to perform their duties, automatically let us start the process after a time-bound period, and I think that will really prevent the recurrence of this, and that would be a good thing to bequeath to the next generation.
I'm glad you mentioned the adherence to a particular time-bound period. Now, let's look at the selection of a new deputy governor, which is also generating some interest by stakeholders. What are your thoughts and expectations here? And we're hearing that even new Governor Aiyedatiwa might be under a little bit of pressure here.
Yes, definitely. It's politics. Everybody is gaming and scheming and trying to get ahead. And, so the choice is definitely Governor Aiyedatiwa's prerogative. Party will try to state and make suggestions, but I think it is his own prerogative, and he should do whatever wishes whoever he thinks he will work with him. To me, maybe because I'm from another generation, the old zoning thing, I don't think it holds much water, but we understand the reality. The reality that is that the people, because he's from the southern, the senatorial district, so the people from the south are, erstwhile disqualified. However, I feel like Governor Aiyedatiwa has 2 things to consider. If he's just thinking in terms of completing, the term of Governor Akeredolu, which he was the deputy governor on the ticket, he might want to go to the northern senatorial district, which is the Owo Akoko axis, because the Governor Akeredolu is from Owo, he's an indigenous of Owo. However, if he's thinking about a deputy governor that he can choose and then run with, if should he get the ticket of the primaries, the ticket of APC in the primaries, then he might want to be a little bit more adventurous and probably think about someone from the Central Senatorial District, which is essentially where Akure and Ondo, the two population areas, are. So I mean, it is. I mean, I think he might want to think long term as opposed to just thinking short term. But it's his prerogative. I think he should do what he feels, who he thinks is going to be a good partner. I mean, to avoid any form of friction, animosity. Ondo State has seen a lot of drama. We want to stay drama-free right now. So, I believe he should choose who he feels is going to help him paddle the boat or steer the ship of Ondo State in the right direction. That's my own take on it.
Well, finally, before we let you go, considering the opposition Akeredolu faced in becoming acting governor before he eventually became the substantive governor, how do you think 2024, elections will play out for him? How easy will it be for him to get the party's ticket if he decides, to recontest? Will he get the support of Akeredolu's aides?
I don't think in politics, enmity is that short-lived. I believe that, the memory is going to be long. I mean, the people who are opposed Governor Idatiwa out of envy and whatever they considering at the time, they are still going to hold out in opposition. So I don't expect it to be an easy ride for him. I hope, he gets humble in power and, because one of the things that they were scared of at first was that if he's made acting governor and has the power of incumbency, he can muzzle the primary process. And so that was actually the primary cause of all the imbroglio in the first place. And I have always made this suggestion, and I hope, maybe the politicians will come to it that it is mutually beneficial to both them and the people. I feel like the old delegate economy is what is causing this thing, because if the executive, the person in power, the party, can actually choose those who are going to vote, that is essentially leaders selecting their voters as opposed to voters selecting their leaders. I believe all card-carrying member of a political party should be allowed to vote in the primaries. In that way, there will be no situation whereby even within a political primary, someone can get into power and marginalize a group of people, and then when they want to do the next primary, they just have to ensure that those groups that were marginalized remain marginalized, and then their cronies is going to select them. And this is what I think is going to be the lasting solution, because yes, even before Governor Akeredolu died, there were factions within the APC of people who felt they were marginalized, they were not well compensated and all of that. And I think politicians just need to also rethink and change their focus from what I can get to what I can give. It is not what you live with, it is what you leave behind. That is what counts in the end of the day, because one thing that Governor Akeredolu's situation has taught all of us is that life is all vanity. We will all go one day. So it is the things that we do in favor of humanity, like my Catholic teaching will tell me, whatsoever you do to the needs of my brother, that you do unto me. Thank you.
Charles Oludare, would like to thank you very much for your thoughts on the transition in government after the death of Governor Akeredolu in Ondo State. It's good to have you with us.